Welcome to the ZBHO Dojo. Grab yourself a spot on the mat, stretch out, and get ready to roll. Zing Shui. Now let's get this show started. Welcome to the ZBHO Dojo. My name is Spicy Sensei, if you will, and today on the stream, critiques all night, baby. Anatomy critiques all night, baby. So I hope you're buckled in. I know you bought the entire seat, but you're only gonna need the edge, because it's gonna be exciting. So if you want your work critiqued by me live here on ZBrush Live, make sure to join the dojo. But before I give you that link, before we get started, before we start kicking ass, taking names, and turning on autosave, let us give thanks and praise to the lords and gods. So yeah, starting with Frank Frazetta. Thank you, Lord Frank Frazetta. Next, Saint Joseph Christ. Next, Saint Paul. Look up here, look up here, look up here, look up here, look up here. Good morning. Next, the Ryan King of Slayan. And finally, Simon Lee, Spider of the Road. Thank you for your education, your inspiration, and your overall badassness. How is the dojo? Do it! You better be ready for today. You better be ready. You better be ready. You better be limber, ready to go. Ready to do planks for 3 hours. I hope you're ready. Christ Jesus! What's going on, brother? Attentive Slug, thanks for being here. Uriah Jacobus, what's going on? James O'Shea, nice to see you here. We are gonna get started, people. We are gonna get started. So, first one that we're going to be critiquing today is from... Let me download this real quick. Hold on. There we go. Don't you love it when you press a button and it doesn't do anything, and so you just gotta press it again? Isn't that great? Isn't that great? First one is from Thivolan Moodley. That is a badass name. All right, so let's get this loaded up. So if you want your work critiqued by me live on Pixologic, then definitely join the ZBHO Dojo. We've got over 400 ass kickers in the dojo every Monday night until the summit, because we might take a break after that, maybe a week off. But until the ZBrush Summit Sculpt Off, we're meeting every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time with a new theme to get you ready to crawl up that leader list, that leaderboard. All right? No bottom 50, no bottom 25. Top 10 is okay. Top 5, that's where you feel alive. So that's what we're training for. So if you want to join a bunch of ass kickers, then join the dojo. Join it now, and you can thank me later. Link is in the chat. So this one is Nola. I think it's what is it? Venom character of some sort. So lots of good work. Lots of good work here. You know, you have a lot of things going on, but the pose is killing it. It's like Shakespeare, right? So it doesn't really match with Venom or Null or the scene. Like I would like to see something much more action oriented or something a little bit more stoic, but he's looking at his hand and there's nothing in his hand. And even if that's not how you intended it, that's the way it looks. And so yeah, I would definitely redo the pose. I know you did a lot of work. I know you're proud of it. You should be. There's a lot of great detail in here, but this pose is really just bringing everything down because it's so straight, right? And you got all these wonderful organic pieces in here. So yeah, that would be my suggestion for this. In terms of anatomy, let's take a look. So anatomy is constructed pretty well. Your serratus are going up when they should be a fan, like you got your fingers like this, right? Because the inside where your serratus anterior is originating from is on the inside of our scapula, and so it has a point that it's coming from. So it's going to go all the way up to your first rib, down to your ninth. And it can't all be the same way, right? Because according to yours, your serratus right here, it's all coming from here, right? You see how that's flowing? Okay, so we don't want that, right? We want to send it the opposite way. We want it to go up to the serratus here, right? Or I'm sorry, the scapula here in the back, right? So what you need to do is you need to follow this. Let's see, hold on. Don't want to leave that mark here. You have a great detail work. So you want this to go down, right? Because this is going to be your serratus right here. And as buff as he is, or as buff as you're making him, it's going to be pretty substantial, right? And so the serratus muscles should be going in a fan. So you just need to adjust them just a little bit and then keep the top, okay? And make sure you see how flat these are. They're going straight back. These wrap around the rib cage. So if you want to check that, you can go to, oh, I'm not sharing my screen, dang it, Dojo. There we go. Okay, let me turn the camera on and we'll start over again. It's not a problem. Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you everybody, I appreciate it. There you go. Alrighty, so let's turn this back on. So yeah, we've got kind of like this Shakespeare-esque pose with all this really great work around it, right? Like all the work it took to do all this and to have it flow, and to, you know, it's working in terms of bringing our attention to this character. So excellent job with that. Excellent job with all the detail work, especially on here. Everything's nice and clean. The veins here, just make sure that no vein that's coming off of another one is thicker than the original, right? Because it's like a tree trunk, right? You're gonna have that, and nothing that comes out of the tree trunk is larger than the original branch, right? So you always want it to be smaller and smaller the more that you branch off, okay? So just be careful with all that here, okay? So what's going on, Frank? Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Biteless. I appreciate you, Keo. Thank you for being here. Zinchue, Uriah, Fabio, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're talking about the serratus muscles. We will bring it all the way back so you can see what I was talking about. All right, so you can see the serratus muscles are going, cancel. They're going this way, right? So let me see if I can get my epic pen out so we can kind of draw over this. Wellington Batico, Eric, what's going on? Appreciate you being here. All right, so your serratus muscles are going this way. So it's giving me the impression that this is your origination point and you're going out and fanning out this way. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is it's coming from the scapula and going this way, right? So that's kind of how these serratus muscles should act, right? They shouldn't all be one direction. As much as that's one of my favorite bands of all time, right? We need to have the origination from here, and then the fanning working that way. So here we're gonna go back. We're gonna close Epic. All right. So so what I suggest is that you come off of the scapula here, and you go down towards the serratus, right? Because that's where your serratus are originating from. They're originating from your scapula, so you want to come off of the scapula and do that, okay? And we're just redirecting these serratus muscles so they look more believable, okay? Next, your this right here is not my favorite, okay? So your obliques, they go in between each one of these, right? And they go along with the obliques, okay? You're not going to see a digitation from 12 to 12th rib to, because that's where these are originating from, right? You have 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, right? And so from 12, that's your 12th rib, your floating rib. That's where the beginning of the obliques are coming from, right? So they need to be coming from here, and you're going to have this form right there, okay? So you need a little bit more of that, because this going down that way is it's too oblique, right? We need to have this sense, okay? The tail that you're getting off of here, it's okay, but your rib cage is kind of flat. You see how boxy it is? Boom, boom, boom. So if I was going to draw over this, that's kind of what it is, and what it needs is boom, 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 boom. Okay, so you need one more bevel in here. So this is a sternum, rib cage, side of the rib cage going towards the back, and then coming back, and then going this way, and then going into the spine. Okay, so I would pay attention to that for yours, and definitely take out this line. You see this line that you have here? It doesn't generally show up like that. So what I would like to see is your serratus are kind of going up into your acromion process, and now we know that they grab onto the ribs, right? So your rib cage goes out, and then it comes back into your neck right here, right? So your serratus are going to follow that as they go up. They're going to be wrapping around the rib cage, okay? So so what I would like to see is this going back in towards the neck, right? So boom, and then going around. right? Going that way. But the thing is that your obliques are making this a little hard to see because they're so boom, boom, they're so square. And there's pretty much an entire rod of form here. And so now what we can do is we can actually have lats here, because your lats are this big thing, and what they need to be is just right here, and then your serratus is going to go around the rib cage, right? So then it's going that way, your lat's coming this way, and so now you have a lat, and now you have ribs. Okay, so make sure that you have that. You have foreground, background, foreground, background, foreground, background. So here, gonna cut this off right about there, fill in this tube, because you'll see that a lot on going towards the last floating rib. You're gonna see a band of for the lat, so you want to have that there. Okay, so your lower lumbars here are a little bit too pronounced. Okay, so they originate from the base of your neck and they go down, and then they attach your last floating ribs, but they aren't going to be that substantial. Okay, so we need to first always make sure that all these muscles follow the rib cage, right? So we don't want a block here. We want all this to follow the rib cage. We can have bulkiness, and that's fine, but in the end, we can't have it make a very square back. Okay, so now that we have this, we're gonna take the upper lumbars, and they originate from the base of your neck and then come out and attach to your last floating ribs right here. Okay, so and then your spina erectus right here is doing the same thing, right? Most of the meat is down here, and then it's being spread out as we get more and more towards the base of the skull. Okay, so sometimes you might have some neck issues, and you stretch it out, and it doesn't work. That might be because you gotta work on your lower back or get a massage on your lumbars, because that might be causing your issue. All right. What's up, ZG? Thanks for being here. Willington, thank you very much for being here. Christ Jesus, my hurdle lately has been carving out mouths, but I can sculpt lips pretty dang good. Oh yeah. What's going on, Ashraf? I appreciate you being here. And don't forget to register for the summit. It's always a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. Never had a bad time. So make sure to register for it, okay? So this, if I'm gonna simplify this, take out all this wonderful detail that you have, this is the overall shape of your trapezoids, right? And that's not what's happening. I'm gonna turn perspective off. So that's not what's happening, okay? What's happening is that it's coming from the base of your skull. It's attaching to the very corner of your of this, and you really want to kick this in, this little notch right here for the scapula. You really want to kick that in. So that corner, you want to bring it there, and then it also goes down into the last floating rib. By the time it gets to the last floating rib, it's just a tendon. So we don't need to create so much form. Most of the form's going to be up here, okay? So, and then it's coming from the base of your neck, your occipital protuberance, okay? It's coming around, and it's also attaching to the S-curve of your clavicle. So you don't have an S-curve. It's actually just one curve. So what you need to do is you need to straighten this out so your shoulders don't go so far back, right? So after our neck, then we do the curve, okay? So we need to do that, and your clavicle is just disappearing. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to bring this up. Your shoulder girdle is very, very, very important. So make sure that you really understand this. So from the front, our clavicles is never going to dip down or do anything. Even if I dip this down, it's still going to be relatively simplified as a straight line. Okay, so that's what we need to have here. So that's the reason that your trap is looking really weird and your shoulders just originating from nowhere. Okay, so you need to have your chromium process, right? So you can feel that. Let's put on, you know, you have your lateral head of your shoulder. Right above it, you're going to feel this bone, and it's going to feel very, very flat. Okay, and that's your chromium process. So it's going to come out from the heads of your clavicle, which are not here. Your heads of your clavicle are now right here. You should be able to put 2 fingers, and then there should be a clavicle on each side, the head of the clavicle on each side. Okay, so that's what we need to have here, right? You don't have a sternum, you just have your chest coming together. So we need to have, since, you know, this is all wonderful detail and everything. Again, you know, this work is good, but the overall forms are getting lost in here because you don't have bony landmarks, right? If you have bony landmarks, then everybody's going to be able to hone in on what they're looking at. Okay, so be very careful that you don't just sculpt muscles. Make sure you're sculpting bony landmarks as well. Okay, so you see, this is the wiggle wobble I was talking about. You see, we want to straighten that out. Okay, for someone this built, we're not going to really see most of the top of the clavicle, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I want to just get it straight to kind of set it up. I want to bring that there. I want to straighten out this chromium process. Bring that down. Just make sure that overall it's straight. And I'm not worried about how blocky it is because we're about to sculpt over it. Okay, so so this is the issue. You have your pectoralis going over the bicep, which is good, but it's not really originating from anywhere, right? It's just going in here and it's disappearing. It connects on the outside right here. So most likely what you're asking is, well, how do I differentiate that from the shoulder, right? Well, your shoulder's way too far forward, right? So you need to bring it back here. Where this S curve is where we need to originate our anterior head of our deltoid right here. Okay, so boom, 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 and then we're going to have the clavicular pectoralis, the clavicular head of the pectoralis. So you can see it's going over the bottom of our clavicle right here, right? And the only place that we're actually going to see the clavicle is right here. Okay, and I'll show you some Arnold Schwarzenegger in just a second so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay, let's look him up. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, let's see. Alrighty. So we have Arnold. Okay. Chill out. Jesus. Professionally offended over there. Okay. So we have the anterior head. We have the acromion process. We have the clavicle. We have the head of the clavicle. And you can see these coming down and attaching to the sternum, right? Our sternocleidomastoid, sternocleido, 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 thyroid, cricoid cartilage. Okay, and that's on male and female. It's just that male, it's more dominant on the thyroid. Okay, so right there, that's the only part of the clavicle we're going to see. Okay, and then this is our clavicular head, our sternal head. Yeah, it goes to the sternum. Sternal head, and then the thoracic head. Okay, and notice it's not immediately connecting and then going around. It's going to go forward a little bit, and it's going to attach to the anterior side of your rib cage here. Okay, and then if you want to know where that striation is, it's right there, because it's going to be at the manubrium. So there's this little bit of cartilage right here before we get to the rest of the sternum, and that's always going to be where the striation is. So again, sternum, chromium process, lateral head, or I'm sorry, anterior head, lateral head, clavicular head of the pectoralis, sternal, and then the thoracic. Okay, and then you can see this little tail that comes off right here, and that attaches to the sixth rib right there. Okay, you got it. Pissed me off already, Chad. Pissed me off already. Okay. Alrighty, so so that's what we're doing there, right? Just that small spot right here, we're gonna have a little fossa, right? Which is an empty space, and then we're gonna have that right there, okay? Yeah, better stay on your toes, Uriah. Better stay on your toes. Okay, so I think that's more than enough information to get you started. Just make sure that the sternal head, boom, boom, is going there, and then we don't suddenly lose volume. We're going to have most of the volume around here, and then it's going to become connective tissue after that. So, but yeah, that's what I would do. And thoracic head, and then you want to get that little tail right there, but you want to see, so you see how yours is attaching way before it needs to? So it's not allowing you enough space, so then you have to fill it up with other things, and then your sculpt just starts getting away from you. Okay, not to say that this is a bad sculpt. It's a good sculpt. You have a lot of things here that people would believe, but you need refinement. Yeah, thanks for allowing me to critique it. Okay, so next is Wonder Flash. This is by Azazel. Alrighty, so first thing we do is turn off. Oh, B. There we go. So it's a Flash and Wonder Woman, I think, put together. So the action line is exactly what we're looking for. I see so many people like running straight up. Like, I don't know what's wrong with my sculpts. I don't know what, because you're not leaning them forward at this is almost like a 40-degree angle instead of a 50-degree angle. So that's looking really, really good. Definitely are able to get a sense of movement out of this. So anatomy-wise, you're missing your face. I'm just joking. So here we need to, since the back is going to be a highlight of this whole thing, we really should do our best to understand what's going on here. Okay, so here you need your chromium process, right? The flat part that we just talked about on the other one. All right, so that's a bony landmark. Anytime I refer to a bony landmark, it should be mesh, and right under it, it should be the bone, right? Just like sternum, skin and bone, right? So we're just calling skin mesh, right? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a diagonal line here because we're raising it up, right? So we're gonna have this here, and then we're going to bring the blade of the scapula here. Reason it's not going straight up and down is because when we raise our arm to about 35 degrees, that's about as far out as the clavicle will bend, right? So from here to here, from 33 degrees, and then from here it's pretty much just staying still the rest of the time. But from here to here is probably the greatest amount of movement that you'll get out of the clavicle, and then the rest is going to just stay. Okay, so that's the reason I'm using this angle. Okay, next, it's too bumpy. It's way too bumpy. Whenever you're doing this scapula, sorry, not clavicle. Whenever you're doing the scapula, you want to make sure it's flat first, and then you want to sculpt over it. So your traps here are way too thin. You see how thin they are? They originate from your armpit, and then they go forward, and then they go backward, and then they go that way. Oh, and I forgot to let y'all know. If y'all haven't gotten the XMD toolbox yet, You really should. Because you can just put it over here on the side, and you can favorite all your brushes. They even have macros here. Let's see, where you can just center it. You can append eyes. You can make it a Q cube. There's all these things that are already in here. And then you have all the brushes that ZBrush has. If you get the toolbox, you also get all of the XMD brushes, and you can see I've been scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I'm still not down to the bottom of all the XMD brushes. Okay, so we just got to the end. So yeah, this thing has saved my ass plenty of times. XMD's got some really great brushes, and so you should definitely check it out. Okay. So, so here, what I want to do is I want to add a bit more here. This little shape that you're trying to get is coming from your, let's get this right there. It's coming from your scapula, right? It's called your teres major, and it's coming forward and it's going into your armpit, right? And so the issue with this back is that it's not following the rib cage, right? So what I would do is go Lightbox tool, Ryan Kingsland model, and then we have a skeleton here, right? And it's female. So you can put the rib cage in there and kind of follow it a bit more than what you got. So let me show you what I would do. All right, so generally on most rib cages, in my first like 2 to 3 years of doing this, I would put a rib cage in there because I don't want to, because I just want to have muscle memory. I can just learn it through muscle memory. I don't need to, spend forever trying to analyze and dissect it. So, so here we go. We've got deformation, unify. So now it's roughly the same size. I'm gonna put this waypoint right here at the head of the clavicle. We're going to just kind of get the length and the size guesstimated somewhere around there, right? And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna match this. We're gonna match this head of the sternum with your head of the sternum. So boom, boom, boom. We're gonna turn on transparency, turn off ghost, so you can see through it. And then we're just going to kind of center this along the rib cage, bring it forward. So we can kind of align it. Put that about there. So you can see if we're going to use a skeleton that that the rib cage, we can kind of form it around this thing, right? This bit right here. So whenever you're articulating the body, right, and you're moving it and you're doing this and all that, your rib cage stays the same, right? Regardless if I go backwards, forwards, if I lay on my stomach and I put my feet all the way and I do a scorpion thing, and my feet are right here in front of my head and I'm grabbing it and I'm looking at the camera like a freak, okay? Even then, rib cage stays the same shape, okay? So whenever we're articulating the body and spinning it, we don't want to get into the habit of taking that rib cage and twisting it, right? We want to twist after the thoracic spine. So the thoracic spine is everything that is attached to the rib cage, right? So you can see that rib and this floating rib. There should be 12 in total, okay? So this entire area does not bend, and that's what you've got going on here. I think maybe we can reduce the size a bit. Let me match up these acromion processes. Okay, even then, still gonna have a bit of an issue. So you can see your breasts are going this way, your back is going the opposite way, so it's like this, right? Instead of aligned. So you might have to adjust some things here and reposition, realign your rib cage, right? So we're just going to put that right about there for an approximation, and then I'm going to show you what you can do, right? So if you want to make her bulky and everything like that, you can, but I'm just going to show you how to use the skeleton real quick, and then you can use it however you want after that, right? But we need to kind of put this where it belongs, all this stuff. We need the sternum right there. Depending on the breast size, if it's you know, if they're petite or something, then it's going to peak at the nipple and then go down to the 5th rib, right? The bigger they are, the lower the breast hangs below the 5th rib, okay? So you just decide where you want that, okay? What I see a lot of the time is people sculpting breasts, and they're, you know, like a small cup size, but they're hanging way below the 5th rib, so it makes them seem very, very old when they're trying to get a youthful look out of the character, right? So here, I'm just kind of forming it around the rib cage, aligning all this stuff, getting our hip in place, all that good stuff, okay? And so I would realign all this stuff, and I would sculpt the pectoralis first, and then I would add breasts on top. Okay, so now we've got this a little bit brought in a little bit more, which is going to make her seem more voluptuous, right? Which I think is the goal that you're going for, due to the thickness that you got going on. Okay. So let's talk about the glutes, okay? So your glutes are squares, and the key to sculpting a nice glute is that, so you can see how we need to realign this, right? So glutes, right? First we need the hip. Glutes are never gonna look good unless we see the hip, okay? So if we're gonna approximate it, we're gonna go that way, okay? So that's roughly the hip, okay? So now what we need to do is we need to get the gluteus medius, gluteus medius, gluteus medius. So there's a point on the back of your hip that is called the anterior or posterior iliac spine, or posterior superior iliac spine, okay? So that's gonna be where your lat's going to. So you're gonna bring this lat, and it's gonna go back, and it's gonna attach right there, okay? Same place that is, that's where your gluteus medius ends, okay? And so now what we're gonna do is get our gluteus maximus. That's going to attach to the rest of the spine. We need to have our sacrum here. Just real quick. And then it's gonna go around, and it's gonna attach all along your tailbone. So if she had no fat in her glutes, then it would go around and it would do this, and it would insert into there, okay? But the more fat that you want her to carry in her glutes, the more square, or not square, but more horizontal this line will be, okay? So we need to go over, and what we need to do is shave off this section, okay? Because it's just it's making it feel very square, okay? So we need to bring that over. I mean, if you want it to look like there's plastic surgery or something, then, you know, you can do that. But generally, 9 times out of 10, unless you have some special genetics of some sort, and they are out there, you're not going to have such a square bottom, okay? So next thing we need to do is put in that hip dip. That hip dip is your great trochanter. So it's gonna feel like a hip dip, but it's really a bony landmark, okay? So it's going in there, and then your glutes are going to insert into your vastus lateralis. So this is your vastus lateralis originating, at the great trochanter. Right there. And so boom, 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 boom. Okay. So that's that. Okay. Next would be your tensor fascia latte. So we can probably bring this up a little bit because that's a very long tensor fascia. So a little bit higher, right? And your tensor fascia latte right here is just going to attach to your vastus lateralis. So lateral means outside, medial means inside, anterior means front, posterior means back, superior means high, inferior means low. Okay? So that's what we want to do. Okay? So bringing this over, and then inserting it into the side of the vastus lateralis. So your vastus lateralis is sitting on top of the insertion of your glute. Okay? So that's going to look much more natural than the square bottom. Okay? And so a lot of people are also confused on, because male and female collectibles and superheroes do this all the time. So people are often confused about what to do with the buttocks around here, right? So what you're going to do, let's take a look at the skeleton. So while you're sitting on your ass, watching the man, you're sitting on these bones right here. Right, these are your sitting bones. Okay. So your adductors, right, those sexy inner thigh muscles, right, that originates from there. Right, and so you're going to have your adductors originate from there. They're going to go towards the head of your tibia. So now we can have that nice sexy muscle, and it needs to come from behind here. Okay, so next thing we need to do, and so you need to get rid of that dip right there, even that out, and it needs to go into the glutes, right? Not wave and then go into the glutes, just straight up in there. Okay, so now what you need to do is you need to put in your rectus femoris. So just for the ease of use, I'm going to do the straight leg. So there's going to be our adductors right here coming from our sitting bones right there, going down the center. Then you're going to have your semitendinosus membranosus, which is the left side or the medial side of your, the inside, right? Because it's not just left, but the medial side, the inside head of your hamstring is going to, let me just block it out first. So you're going to have a block here. And whenever we get near the kneecap, we need to split it this way, and we need to split it that way. Okay? And then your gastrocnemius, or your calves, are going to originate from the head of your femur, right? So those are going to originate right here on these epicondyles, right there. Okay? So, so that's what we're doing here, right? We're bringing it coming from that epicondyle, and of course the center is going to be raised just due to the muscles coming together. Okay, so your hamstring here is attaching to something. It's not just disappearing. Okay, and what it's attaching to is the head of your fibula. So if you feel your knee, and then you feel on the lateral side, you're going to feel just feel the hamstring, feel that tendon come off of it, and then feel it go into the side of your calf, and that's going to be the head of your tibia. Okay, so the calf does not go in front of the head of the tibia, right? Right. Okay, so your calf is not going to be the entire side of your leg. You're going to have the fibula there. Okay, the thing you're missing for the inside of your leg, let me finish this. I'm jumping around. Okay, so we have the adductor coming down there. Okay, and then we're going to dome it out, And this needs to be like a pizza slice. Okay, so see, is this polygraph? Thank God you have polygraphs. Jeez. All right, so this is all coming together here, coming from there, coming in. There's a bunch of different muscles in here, but you really don't need to articulate those when you're blocking them out. You need overall form first, and then you can worry about individual muscles. Okay, so then you have your hamstring. You should have a bit of fat right underneath the buttocks. For females, they carry a lot of fat right underneath, so it's going to give you that that glute fat bump right here, which is not bad in my own opinion. So you're gonna have that there, but yeah, that's fat. We don't need to worry about that right now. Okay, so it's going to split this way, it's going to split that way, it's going to attach to the head of the fibula, and this is going to attach to the head of the tibia. Okay, so we also have another muscle, okay, and that is coming from the anterior superior iliac spine. I know this is a lot of information, but trust me, you need to know it if you're going to be a character artist. You can't sculpt off of light and shadow your entire life. You're just wasting time. Okay. So here we got the tensor fascia latae. From that same origination point, we are bringing this down and bringing this around and attaching it to the head of the sternum, or head of the tibia, right? So that's basically your shin. Okay, this sartorius, unless you are a heavyweight bodybuilder, is going to be a plane change and not a form, right? So so consider it a rubber band that you're stretching it really tight and you're wrapping it around some organic form, so it's going to compress it in, right? So you really want that, and you want to hit the head of the tibia. Okay, so your knee is nondescript. You do have something in the profile, but I'm going to show you how to do it really quickly. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you want it above your let's check the skeleton. All right, so this is the head of your fibula, this is the head of your tibia, okay, and then this is your kneecap. All right, so it should be like a 45-degree angle up from the head of your fibula. Okay, so if this is the head of my fibula, then this is where my knee is going to be. Okay, so the first thing you do is you create a policeman shield. All right, boom, 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 block it off, right? Kind of like a shield, kind of like a badge, right? And then off of this, you're going to create a ligament, right? Which is pretty much a rod of organic steel, okay? And so we're going to flatten this out, right? Boom, 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 boom. And this does not go up and down, it goes obliquely into the shin. Okay, and it attaches to the kneeling bone, right? So whenever you kneel down and pray, or you kneel down and clean up the floor, or you kneel down and ask for forgiveness from your significant other because you put the fork in the wrong spot in the drawer, and now they're really angry. So now you got to beg for forgiveness, right? So whenever you're kneeling down on your knees, that's the area that you're kneeling down on. Okay, so so a lot of people think that the knee is really, really wide, right? And that's because there's fat on each side of the kneecap, but we can't let that go in front of the kneecap. Okay, it needs to be behind the kneecap, or else if we didn't have that fat, we would just be grinding our kneecap on our head of our femur and our tibia all day. Okay, so what we need to do is we can add fat. You just literally squiggle, smooth it out, and then now you've got fat on each side, because fat behind the knee is not consistent, right? Everybody's fat behind their knee, you know, like either a lot of people carry a lot of fat in their body genetically, and some people don't. It's called what's it called? Lipodystrophy is you can't gain fat genetically, right? So those people, you're going to see every single detail of their knee from beginning to end all around, okay? And some people, you're just not going to be able to see that, and that's due to the amount of fat that they're carrying within their body, okay? So, all right. So now that we have the adductor, we have this all convalescing or coming together right here, right? We've got the hamstring coming from the back, right? Wrapping around the tibia. So that's going to give you a round feeling on the inside, right? And then a straight line on the outside because this hamstring is just going boom right there, right? So you're going to be straight, and then it's going to be very soft right here. And notice I'm wrapping it around the head of the tibia, right? So whenever I'm sculpting this, I'm wrapping it around and attaching it right here to the head of the tibia. This is where your sartorius, the little rubber band, the pizza slice, your adductor, and your semitendinosus membranosus, the medial side of your hamstring, is all attaching right here, which is going to give you that round feeling on the inside, right? There's just so many things connecting right here, okay? So now what I want to do is I want to get the vastus medialis, all right? Or also a lot of people just call it the teardrop muscle on the leg, okay? But you don't want to walk in. Okay, you have two options. You can walk into a studio and be like, yeah, I'm sculpting that teardrop thing on the leg. Or you can say, I'm sculpting the vastus medialis because it's not in the right position. Which one do you think is going to get you a raise? The thing on the leg, or knowing exactly what you're talking about? Okay? It's like being a musician and not knowing them, not knowing notes, not knowing what the A scale is, or the B scale, or the C, or the D, major or minor. It's like not being able to read music and you're trying to play with a Philharmonic orchestra. It's not going to work. Okay? So you need to know these things so that you, because let me show you well, whenever I get a little bit further, I'm going to show you this Frank Frazetta sculpt that I'm working on in my free time, which isn't a lot, thank God. But whenever it's done, whenever everything's sketched out, I'm going to show you what knowing anatomy can do for you in terms of blocking out an entire scene with characters in motion without any symmetry while you sculpt. Okay? So, yep. Okay. So, we've got that. We've got the teardrop muscle, little tidbit, a little information, a little tip. You need to, that's a little bit too aggressive. The head right here is always going to touch the corner of your patella or your kneecap. Okay, always, whether you bend your leg or you don't, right, straight or any of that, it's always going to be there. Okay. So now what we need to do is get our rectus femoris. Rectus meaning going up and down, femoris meaning on the leg, right? So rectus femoris. So yours isn't here, really. What you need to do is you need to dig this in. So let me show you where it's originating from. All right, so here's our ASIS, anterior superior iliac spine, right? So our tensor fascia latae is coming this way. Our sartorius is coming this way. And our rectus femoris is originating from here. So you can see where the top of your hip is. So this is anterior superior iliac spine, anterior meaning front, inferior iliac spine, right? So ASIS, okay? So that's where your rectus femoris is originating from, okay? So what we need to do is make sure that it's coming from within this tensor fascia latae, okay? Just to block it out. I'm not saying that's every single person's leg does this. I'm just saying whenever you're blocking out an ideal idealized character, which is our job 99% of the time. We are tasked to create things that are aesthetically pleasing, and things that are aesthetically pleasing are things that are believable, right? And so having these blockouts and having these rules that you follow, you'll just speed through your sculpt, right? Like I can block out an entire character at this level very, very quickly. And it's because I'm just going through all the rules, right, of anatomy, where things originate, where they go to, where things should be bigger, where things are generally smaller, where volumes are originating from and inserting into, and all that. So I don't have to do a lot of guesswork. I don't have to look at reference for hours and hours and try to decipher. And most of y'all are guessing what the hell you're looking at, and it shows in your work. Okay. Not everybody can be Jimi Hendrix, where he didn't know music theory at all. He could just play. How many Jimi Hendrixes do you know? One. And you ain't Jimi Hendrix. So learn your anatomy. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so now we've got that. So the issue with this is that the peaks are pretty much straight across from each other, right? So it looks like a cartoon chicken leg. So what I want to do is I want to raise this up a little bit. Okay. So now it should have this feeling. And so now I can bring this in and I can get that nice straight line and get that nice hit on the side of the lateral vastus lateralis, right? So now we've got something a little bit more interesting to look at. Okay. So your calf muscle is this big thing. Okay. So what I want you to do, and don't start sending me love letters. Okay. I'm about to show you my leg. Do not send me love letters. Do not start hitting on me. All right. Last time I did this, I had to change my email address. So, right there, all along right here, I'm gonna get this foot right there, okay? All along here is a bony landmark. I want you to feel this all the way down, okay? So, that is your tibia, right? That is your tibia. So this entire section right here on the inside is a bony landmark all the way to your medial malleolus. Okay. So malleolus is your ankle, right? Medial lateral malleolus. Okay. So that's what we need to do here. And all these things that I'm telling you are in the block out. Okay. After you add fat, skin, flexing, all the things, this will change, right? But but I'm just trying to get you to where you can block things out real quick, and then you can put all the variants of life in there. Okay. All right. So what we need to do is we need to get that bony landmark all the way down. We're going to connect it to your ankle or your malleolus. Okay. That's a little bit too aggressive. Okay. So boom. Right there. Okay. So you should have a somewhat, not an extreme curve, but it shouldn't be straight up and down. Okay. And so now our calf is originating from the epicondyles of our femur right here, right? So room, coming together. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. Boom, coming this way and then going that way. Coming this way and then going that way. Okay. And so your calf attaches to this bony landmark, but it's not going to go over it. Right? So we're going to go there. And we're just going to simplify this. There's another muscle under here, but I don't want to give you too much information because the leg is already enough information for this. Okay. So now we have our fibula, right? The head of our fibula. And we are going to go down and around the ankle and then insert into the side. Okay. And so we need to emphasize this ankle. This ankle is going to be lower than this one. Okay. So we're going to emphasize this one. Make sure we really have the head of that showing. And so this one's going to be lower. Okay. You can take a look at the skeleton. Higher, lower. Medial, higher, lateral, lower. Okay. So just imagine shoulders and then your hands, and you're trying to lift them up, right? So your shoulder is going to be higher, right? And that's going to be the inside, right? So boom, 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 boom. Okay. Alrighty. So now we've got that. Okay, we've got this. We've got the head of the tibia. We've got the head of the fibula right here. We've got the fibularis longus. And then there's a brevis in here as well, but we're not going to go over that at this moment. So your calf is got to stay behind that head of the fibula, right? And the fibularis longus here. Okay. Right there. All right. So now we've got this nice swoop going into the head of our foot. Okay. Whenever you're sculpting the foot, you need a shelf coming from the inside of your heel, going all along the side of your foot. Okay. And this, even though she's running and all that stuff, it's not going to spread your foot that wide unless it's made out of liquid, right? So we want to keep the form of this regardless of how she's stepping. Okay. You want to make sure that the ball of your foot is wider than your heel, and you want to make sure your heel and the outside are pretty much a straight line going this way. So you should have curve, and then a drastic curve, and then just one smooth curve on the outside. So there we go. Oh yeah, and so we need the anterior tibialis, right? And so that is, let me just bring this back. So that's this muscle. So if you lift your foot, you're gonna feel a muscle on the front of your shin. Whatchamacallit? The muscle on the front of your shin is going to flex. Okay, so that's going to sit right next to the head of your fibula. Okay, it's going to be an egg, so you don't want to be too cautious with it. Don't want to sit here and scope. It's just an egg right there, and it's going to go over your shin in front of your medial malleolus and insert into the side of your foot. Okay, by the time it's this, there's no more form associated with it because it's tendon. Okay, but you really want to have that. Okay, so your ligament goes in, and then you have your anterior tibialis. Okay, so that's kind of how I would sketch all this to kind of make it a little bit more believable. Obviously, there's things I could do. I could spend a very, 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 very long time on this, making it perfect. But in terms of, you know, how much time we have, how quickly I'm going through things, you'll have to excuse some mistakes here and there. Okay. But yeah, so let's take a look at the other leg. Come on, there we go. So now we can see all the information in here. This vastus lateralis needs a whole lot of work. Doesn't have enough meat on the front side. But yeah, there's plenty of things wrong with it, but I think it's definitely in a better, more believable realm than this leg. Right? We've got a whole lot more information going on around here. Okay, but that's the muscles that are going to be coming out and completing the glutes here. Okay, but you can see from the back we have the hamstrings in the foreground, vastus lateralis on the background. We've got the gastrocnemius in the foreground. We've got the fibularis longus brevis in the background. You know, we need that type of control over our sculpts. Okay. Alrighty. So let's take a look at what it is. Let's get a little bit smaller. And what it was. probably gonna take a while. Right? So you've got just one big form for your leg, and I've broken it up into a bunch of different pieces, right? Okay. So even though you're putting a lot of, clothes or armor on it, it's still going to look weird if you don't have the underlying anatomy correct, right? So we need to have that first. All right. So I would do that with the leg whenever you're finished with that, and you do it to the other side, and you fix the glutes and fix the rib cage and all that, because you can see you're losing a lot of mass right there. So you really need to focus on your rib cages. Make sure you put them in there. Make sure because you can see it's going this way, but your breast is up here. This one's up here. You really need to lock in the shape of your rib cage. So that's the most important thing on this. Your legs can come after, but if you can understand the rib cage, it's going to make your world way better, and it's going to increase your paycheck. So why not? Okay, so let me get to the chat. I know I've been talking. I do appreciate everyone being here, even though I'm not interacting. But I just, whenever I get into a flow like this, I like to finish it and then come back. So thank you for being here. Thank you. Okay. Is there a sort of 3D app one can use that has a possible mannequin that simulates the body and anatomy? Yes, there is. It's also by Scott Eaton. Scott, you really need to take me out to lunch. You really do. I preach your name everywhere, to everyone. It's called MD3D Le Cocher. And you have this thing that you can move, and then you can click certain parts of the body. I mean, look at this finger dexterity here, right? Look at that finger dexterity. Didn't even drop it. Okay, so you can do that. You can separate it all into different body parts, and you can look at it. It's always going to be in the contrapposto, but that's really all you need. What brush do you recommend for muscle veins? I recommend just a standard brush, and just make sure it goes up and back into the skin. Make sure it's not on top of the skin the whole entire time, right? Make sure it doesn't have to disappear, but make sure it has different heights. That's something that you can have definitely a lot of wiggle wobble on. Frank, thanks for asking. Cargo Colt, what's going on? Danny, what's going on? Yo, who dat? Cargo Colt, I requested a critique of my Arnold from Tomas yesterday. I can send him again for your crit. Would love him to be critiqued by you too. Yeah, I mean, if you want to anatomy, when we look over at the anatomy, if I can get to it, I will definitely do that. Just join our the Discord and put your ZTL here in the critique submission, and either I'll get to it today or next week. And I just lost my spot. Yeah, there it is. Uriah, you almost killed me with that scream. Oh yeah, I keep you on your toes. Danny, this is some sweet knowledge. I need to get back to my anatomical studies and actually sculpting anatomy instead of being terrified of making a mess. Yeah, don't worry about making a mess. That's not a big deal at all. That's what Control Z and the smooth brush is for. Skull Hat, what's going on? Danny, do you have a paid course on anatomy sculpting? Excellent question. So I teach class at XMD Academy. It's 6-week 101, or you can do the live set or the on-demand. So say you get the on-demand and then you want the tutelage of myself, then you only need to pay the difference between the two. We're not going to get you to pay the full $800 when you already bought the course, right? So take care of you. But you can do that. If that's not affordable, I completely understand. That is a lot of money. You can go to my store on ArtStation, ArtStation Shotgun Scream store. I have much more affordable options. I do suggest getting the bundle, because every new tutorial that I add to my collection automatically gets put into here, and you've already bought it, so it just keeps growing value as you paid for it once, right? Same thing with the XMD Academy. This started off with like 30 videos, and now there's over 100. Over 183. We're almost at 200 videos. Okay. So, yeah, those are the options that you have to learn with me. Okay. Ashraf, what's going on? We always have to study anatomy. It never ends. Absolutely. Always observing. Still to this day, I'm learning things. So, D-Zink, what up, Spicer? Fellow Dojo Warriors. What's going on, D-Zink? Everybody go follow D-Zink. Wonderful sculptor, wonderful human being. Comes into the dojo and hangs out with us on Mondays for the speed sculpts. And then he also streams on his own. So definitely go check him out. Okay. If you call it a messy sketch, I wonder what you call great work. Scott Eaton. That's what I call great work. It's on my list. I will buy it ASAP. Nice. Where do I send a model for crit? I already answered that. You send it to the Discord. The link is in the chat. Frankie Uchi, how much is the toolbox and where can I get it? You can go to XMD Source. You can get the toolbox for free. You go to xmdsource.com. And you can get the actual toolbox for free, but if you want all the brushes, there's so many brushes. But yeah, you have all these. Premium Lifetime is the one that I would go with because, again, he's going to continue adding to it. If you're a student, you know, it's very affordable. Very, very affordable. Okay. Alrighty. Hey, Luke, do you have an anatomy course? Who's Luke? Who's LUC? Who are you talking to? You talking to me? Uriah Jacobus. Yep, something like this. Uzaris. Id Mubarak to all the community. All right. Ass was a problem too all the time. Oh yeah. Latte, like cargo cold, fascia latte, like cafe latte. Yep. Just that's kind of how I remembered it. I was like, oh, it's a cafe latte, fascia latte, coffee, fascia coffee. Hi Spicer, do you have an online course? Answer that. This information is gold. Thank you very much, Marco. This guy over here. Sheesh. Ian Malcolm, what face? No, for real, this is super valuable. Thanks for freaking time. My pleasure, Uriah. Brimstone. Everybody make sure to go follow Brimstone as well. Always has a nice, cool place to chill whenever he is streaming. He's also a student of mine, so definitely go check him out. Give him a follow. You can all D-Zink coming in hot. You can always give this video a thumbs up on YouTube. Let's see how appreciative the dojo is of Sensei's teachings. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to go to the video. Oh, they didn't change the title. They still have Luke up there. My name is Spicer. This is Enter the Dojo. All right. Oh, they didn't change the title. They still have 64. 64 likes. Not happy about that. Not happy about that at all, actually. So I'm going to put this link in the chat. I expect way more likes than that. Okay. J Murph me too true. The Warrior, I'm gonna have PTSD after this. What is this that I gaze upon? Zofo. That was like a no wire hangers moment. It wakes us up and pay attention. Where is the vastus medialis attached to? It's attached to the great trochanter, which is on the side of your hip, and attaches down your femur, and then attaches the end tendon attaches to your tibia, because there's a iliotibial tract that goes down the side of your leg. So if you ever see like lines are going up and down the leg when someone's flexing, that's the sheet of tendon that's strapped over the vastus lateralis. Let's see, what's the doodly looking one called? I'm not sure. Not sure what that one's called. Aesthetic. Sergio, what's going on? I'm doing well, thank you very much. Mystery Refinery was the name of this man. My name is Spicer. Spicer Sensei. Spicy Sensei. Let's see, where is it? Always forget to have this on here. There we go, that's my name. There you go. Raya, you made me realize how much I need to take anatomy classes. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's a moment that you know you're going to get better. Frank C, this show is tight. Mystery Refinery, yeah, you can't send me love letters. Cargo Cold, I appreciate the love. Marco Keogh, what's going on? Angel De Rosa makes no promises about sending me love letters after seeing my sexy legs. Yeah, the shadow behind me, that is my dog. That's my German Shepherd. Yeah, so it's not a ghost. Trust me, it's not a ghost. This house is clear. John Carbonara, got it. No emails. I'll just visit the big boombox then. What are you talking about, John? What are you talking about? Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay, I got it. I can watch this for hours. Filippo Machi, thanks for being here. Serenade outside your window. Oh, Sumerian. You're so sweet. So many bony landmarks. Oh, they're all over the place. Show us the pooch. She'll get impatient a little bit, and I'll bring her up here for sure. Charlie Marta! What's going on? Ian Malcolm, thanks for saying my name. Why is it not written on this video somewhere? Mystery Refinery. They have a stream team, and sometimes they don't get to the title of the video in time. But yeah, hopefully that thing up top is going to help you. Flying Arnold. Let's see. Emmanuel, what's going on, brother? I appreciate you being here. Let's see. It's being super helpful. I was lost AF. Good. Master Spicer, the dynamic discipline is both valuable and appreciated. Thank you, Renders. Sumerian King, these critiques are so helpful. Thank you very much. Miko, Spicer, do you have an online course? Answer that a couple times. So you got my art station here, and then you have XMD Academy. Either one of those will get you leveled up. Well, did you get my file critiqued? Emailed it to you? Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at it if we have enough time, because I only got another 45 minutes. Okay, Spicer, do you have an online course? And then, Spicer, would it be possible to send me all those corrections you did to my model? Raya! Come on, guy. Oh, you have a link to that. Yeah. Let me give you a link. I'll just put it again. XMD Academy, Badoosh. Art Station. And then XMD source for the toolbox. Okay. Where am I? Yeah, I got that. What's going on, Anna? Nice to see you here, Dojo Goddess. Do you do mech hard surface style at all? No, I do not. No, I do not. No, I do not. I stay away from hard surface. I hate hard surface. I don't hate it. It's just, who cares? To me, I love hard surface artwork, but to me, I'm just like, I'd rather not. So, I like paying attention to anatomy and form and motion and all that. Like Frank Frazetta is like my hero. Obviously, if you saw the beginning of the show, very little hard surface work. Very little. Very little. But yeah, I mean, my armor skills are okay. You know, I can model pretty much anything I need to model, but I don't want to create robots or mechs or anything. That stuff doesn't interest me from a creative level, but I do enjoy looking at it. Mm-hmm. Okay, where was I? Where was I? I wish it would stop changing that. What's going on, XMD? XMD is in the house right now. I'm pretty sure he's got some codes or something. You might want to ask XMD if he's got any codes for you. He might be in a good mood. He might be in a good mood. That is Mike Dunham from XMD. Let's see, Frankie G, could you possibly show me how to make a female nose? The female nose, it's just like a regular male's nose, except it's closer to the upper lip. The reason being is that the glabella is lower on a female than it is a male traditionally. Mm-hmm. But other than that, you can sculpt any nose. As long as you have the glabella down and close to the top lip, it will be a female nose. Sergio is in the house. Make sure to sign up for the Discord server for the official ZBrush, and make sure to sign up for the sculpt off. All right. Hashtag ZBHO Dojo from John. What's going on? Hashtag ZBHO Dojo. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love seeing that in the chat. Cargo Colt, can you show the muscles on your leg again? Woo, see, I told you. Told y'all are going to get addicted to my skin. Frankie Uchi, you rock, Spicy. You're so awesome and very helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the info. That girl Ukno, I think is how you UK United Kingdom, North Oxford. Is that what that is? UKNO. Can't find the ArtStation shop. Yeah, hopefully that link is there for you so you can get that. Spirit Shock! What's going on? Hard surface, the chastity belt. Oh, yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next one. We're going to go over the emails first because those were directly from the XMD Academy. We got Mick Schaefer, sorry. Coming in hot. Let's see. And this is yours, right, Azazel? All right. Let's see. Wonder Flash sketch 1. There you go, Azza. Alrighty, so Mick Schaefer, bodybuilder. So let's take a look. Alrighty, good job. Getting better. Alright. So things I would change, things I would do. Okay. Do you have another plane here with the image, or just this one? Okay. So what I would do is, if you haven't already, I would put this right here, and I would literally match it up as much as I can. Because I think we've already talked about this. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. So you can kind of see where you can kind of change things to kind of get it to look even more like him, right? Just turn on transparency, kind of take a look at it, see where it is, where it needs to go. Okay. But regardless of that, this is looking good, man. It's looking good. Let me turn ghost off. Okay. It's looking good. All right. So this right here, we need to fill in all of this area here. So let's talk about. Okay. So we take a look at this. And you can see at the very end of the shoulder, we're getting the brachialis, and it's going into and underneath our bicep, okay? So you have just one solid rod going in there. And regardless of what we see, that's not going to change human anatomy, right? So what we need to do is originate small, right? Because most originations aren't very large, right? So we need to bring this in towards and underneath the bicep right here, right? Where this is going. And make sure it goes down and then it goes over. Okay. And then your bicep's going to be right there, okay? And so your bicep is a little bit more on the inside than it is the outside, so I would kind of even this, and your bicep doesn't end here, it ends up there, right? So what you want to do is you want to bring that up there, make sure it's still got that sense that's going there to the coracoid brachialis, and then bring this over still, right? It's still being forced down because of the shoulder wrapping over it is what we want to do, okay? Nice peak to the bicep. Rear delt is looking good. The anterior head is really off. It's going over the clavicle. So I would bring this around. So if this is going to be your chromium process, then it should be like that, right? Should have the clavicle here, and then it should go around. So this needs to be a little bit more subdued as it's originating from underneath the clavicle, right? So then we get that. So we should see the acromion process and then the top of the clavicle here. We're gonna have skin and all that right there. Yeah. And then you can make it as bulky as you want to, but just make sure it's coming from underneath the clavicle, okay? Right there. Alrighty, so the inside of your tricep, you need to have that common tendon that comes off of the scapula. Let's see, let me mask that. So it's gonna come off of, son of a... So we have that common extensor tendon right here, and then we want to bring that in, right? So we're going to have this third head going that way, or the long head, and then we're going to have the third head of the tricep attached right there, right? And then all this is going to be filled in with the brachialis and the was it teres, pronator teres, right? Right here, that goes down your wrist and goes that way. And so that's what this is bumping up against, right? And then you're gonna have a tendon that goes around and just attaches right here. So it might lock down or give you some striation going that way. If you're confused about it, just treat it like a tendon. So it's always going to react to form, or it can act like the sartorius where it's strapping things down. So there we go. Make sure
This is a little bit softer right here. A little bit softer. Okay. So now that looks a bit better. So this right here is the lateral head of your tricep, right? So let's draw this out. Okay. So we have the brachialis going into the pit. We've got the brachial radialis right here. Okay. Then we've got the lateral head of the tricep with the lazy 9 going around the olecranon, okay, which is right here. So we've got, and then we've got the long head of the tricep, and then this going down, okay. And so we've got the aponeurosis there. We've got the head of the bicep, and looks like the brachialis is a bit wider just due to his strong performance-enhancing drug use, okay. And then we're going to have the lateral head, posterior head, front delt. We're going to have the lat. Boom, 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 boom. How long are you going to autosave? Like, for real. For real, y'all. Okay. Alrighty. So hopefully that clears that up for you on that. Okay. So what we need to do, you can see how your heads are both the same length, right? This needs to be the long head out here. And this, just due to how muscular he is, we need to bring this out and raise it up. Okay. And then you got that nice aponeurosis here. And so we can bring this over, boom, 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 and then really get that nice sharp bit that you have that's going there. Let's take a look at his. All right, so you have yours going really far down right there, okay? What we need to do is we need to shave that off, right? Regardless of his positioning, regardless of what he's doing and all that, we still want to adhere to the rules. Okay. Right about there. And then you'll have that, the aconius muscle right here attaching, okay? Let's see, right there. Yeah, and just make sure you see how flat this is. Maybe give it a little bit more space. Round it off. Okay. And then here, let's not mechanically striate these so much. Okay. There's just too many striations here. You should. You have a clavicular one, you have a manubrium, and then you have that, right? And then you have all these small little sinews in there. But he was never ripped. Like, yeah, does he have low body fat? Yeah. But he's not like 5%. He's in like the high 8s. Somewhere around here, like the high 8s, low 9s. Right? So, yes, we're not going to see that many striations on his chest. And then just make sure you, you're, regardless of how this is all being positioned, your pectoralis is still going to attach to the rib cage normally. Okay. Here, make sure your lat goes down. Okay. Alrighty. But yeah, looking good. And then, if this is going to be your lat, it's going to go across, and then go that way, right? So this is probably twisting of skin, and less like deep depression in the skin, not mentally. And then make sure you attach your trapezius all along your clavicle, and then right there. Okay. And then I would check the thickness of this as well. It's kind of extra thick. But yeah, your rib cage, you really need to put a rib cage in here. Do you have one? Yeah, you really need to put a rib cage in here, and make sure all this is flowing along with the rib cage. I'm pretty sure you already did, because it looks like it's pretty correct. But just go over it again. Just make sure, put a skeleton in there. But yeah, everything else is looking good. Serratus is looking good. Hamstrings, split them a little bit sooner. Boom, CB, BCB. Right there, just a little bit sooner. Right there. And we can kind of conjoin them a little bit. Right there. Just get rid, it's just a little bit too much contrast. But really like everything else that's going on here, brother. Keep up the great work. Keep working. You've definitely gotten better since we took our session months ago. I think, what was it, like 2 months ago, almost 3. So yeah, you're getting better and better, brother. Keep it up. Okay. Alrighty. This is Stream Beats. Oh, see, hold on, more. Let me get. Oh yeah, whenever I like doing the robot, but I don't like sculpting the robot. Mecha Kitten just signed up for the mentorship. Really excited to start going through the videos. Thank you very much. Yeah, look forward to having you in the class. If you signed up for the mentorship, then I will be emailing you like a week before class starts. So up until then, watch Mug Check and Rock Your Body just over and over and over and over and over again. All right. Uriah, thanks a freaking lot. My pleasure. Spotify playlist, please. My pleasure. There you go. There's a link. Marco Keo, we're gonna get to you. We got one more. How much time do I have? We'll get to yours next, because you were here last week. Are you still here, Keo? I think you are, hopefully. Paula Math, I love XMD Toolbox. Oh, hell yeah. Crafting Canvas coming in hot. What's up, sister? Sumerian King in the house. Mystery Finery, he's meditating. Thank you for reminding me to breathe. Spicer, could you show me how to do the veins on the muscles, especially the biceps? Thanks so much. Yeah. So you would get the standard brush like that. You get an appropriate size and do that. You can press 1 to repeat it. Okay. And so now you've got that, right? The thing is, it looks a little too mechanical. So what you want to do is, in certain areas here and there, you want to smooth it out along the edges, along the top, stuff like that, and then you'll have a vein. Next thing I want to do is I want to go into veins, arteries of the body. Okay. And then I want to go images, and you're going to have your entire vascular system here, and you just want to follow this, right? You want to follow these patterns so that they're as believable as possible. And then you want to go to who's someone? Lila Brada. Okay. And this guy was like the most ripped person I've ever seen in my life. And then you can go here and you can start seeing all these veins and everything and how they look. But you can see some are consistent and some are diving in and out and in and out. They aren't all the same depth, right? So you want to make sure you vary that as you're going along. Okay. But yeah, dude, that's what he looks like at like 60 years old. Hopefully I look that good. Alrighty. Let's see. Well, let's go to Keo. He's been waiting. Let's see, critique. All right, Venom. Venom. Freaking God. What people can get away with as music. Venom. It's just like, oh my God, dude. I'm just gonna say the same word over and over again. Venom. Give me millions of dollars. Just don't understand why y'all fall into that trap. Why do y'all keep falling into that trap? Stop buying it. Jesus. Okay. All right, so let's talk. All right, so it's looking pretty good. You're describing some muscles really well, and then some. You just need to pay attention to the bony landmarks, okay? So let's take a look at Lee Labrada with his arms up, okay? Alrighty, let's turn on this. Okay, so we've got the clavicular head coming out, attaching to the clavicle, going back, okay? We've got the thoracic head coming here, or I'm sorry, the sternal head right there. And then we've got the thoracic right here, okay? So right here, you can see it on this side too. We are going to have a bundle of these pectoralis heads coming together and creating this little jaunt, right? Let's choose a different color. Blue. Okay. So it's coming up, it's going out, and then it's coming up and then wrapping around, right? So this is a shoulder. This is a clavicular head. You can tell because of that little line right there. And then you've got the thoracic head. And then the, sternal head, and then the thoracic head. And then you've got that tail that comes off each side of the pectoralis, okay? So that's what we need to, and you can see that's going over the bicep. The pectoralis always goes over the bicep, okay? So yours is going into your armpit. All right, yours is going down here and then ending there, and then your shoulders there. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to wrap it around. Okay, so to get this, we need to fix some things first, namely bony landmarks. Okay, I'm gonna say this over and over and over again. If you watch Steve Lord on this channel, he says it over and over and over again, and we all know Steve Lord knows what he's doing, right? So if you're not gonna believe me for whatever reason, then believe him. Okay, so we want our bony landmarks here. We want our lateral head, which is going to do this. Okay, we're going to have our lateral head twist going over here, and then we want our anterior head to attach to our clavicle and go over. Then we're going to have the clavicular head, the sternal head, and then the thoracic head, right? So now you can see all of this stuff that you can now eat away at, right? That you don't need. Okay. Also, someone this built, let's look at Lee Labrada again. Let's look at him with his arms down, okay? Well, let's see if we can find something a little bit closer to what you had. Okay. So, boom, open image, new tab. Okay. Is this Lee Labrada? I think this is someone that's like Lee Labrada. That doesn't look like Lee Labrada. Is it? Yeah, it is. Well, okay. What is it? 1985? Yeah, it is. Okay. So most of the meat's going to be right here, and then it's going to come off and come back. So you're going to have a little bit of a swoop, okay, on there. So if we're going to look at yours, it's going to bulk up around here. It's going to tame itself, and then it's going to be pulled again right around there. Okay, so we need to make sure that all this is going over the bicep, right? Going over the bicep. We're going to dig all this in. We're going to get our lat. It's going to come from the armpit right there. And so we're going to have this. We're going to, I'm just going to sketch this in really, really quickly. Boom. Right there. There, right there. Bring this, make sure to have that little jaunt that we were just talking about and have it come back. Okay, because it's not going to connect all the way down here and then go over. It's going to come here to the front of your rib cage and then connect. Okay, so now we can get an armpit in here. We're going to have your rib cage is highly important, right? You can see how flat your character is. Okay, and that's because your rib cage. Okay, so again, because I use that skeleton method for 2-3 years, I can pretty much just sculpt a rib cage fairly easily, or at least believably, or at least in a way that is good enough for the sketch. Okay, so going up, going back, and then your obliques will cover all this. Right, so your obliques will be here. So your 8th rib goes back, and then your obliques begin. Your obliques have a front plane to them, then they have a side plane, and they come from the 12th rib, right? And then they come forward. Okay, your lat is coming from your armpit. It should have a band right here until we get to the last floating rib, and then it disappears. Okay, so now we have this swoop here, and what I want to do is I want to bring this in so that I have my lat here right there. Smooth that out, and so now I've got pec, rib cage, and then lat in the background, as opposed to everything being put together. All right. So your bicep is a balloon, and what it needs to be is it needs to go up and down the humerus. Okay, the width of your bicep is not your bicep, that is your brachialis. So your bicep is always going to be within the brachialis, unless you just don't know how to train your muscles, and then you're going to be out of proportion. And our job is to sculpt things in an idealistic fashion. So this guy had the most excellent fitness instructor and made sure that he did his hammer curls every day on arm day. Okay, so, and then whenever we flex our arm like this, so our bicep is attached to our radius, right? And our radius is what's flipping back and forth whenever we do this. So whenever I flip my arm this way, my radius is also, just imagine my radius is imagine my hand is a radius, and it's flipping over, right? And my bicep is attached to it. So whenever I roll that radius, it's going to pull the tendon at the end of my bicep and make it longer, right? So when I do that, I'm like, oh, look over there, you know, it's gonna make my bicep longer. And so it'll come close to the forearm, but we're really not going to put them together unless we're this bent. If we're like at a 90-degree angle, we need the bicep to end and then the forearm. Okay, so when we're like this, it's going to extend it. Whenever we turn it this way, now our radius is back in a neutral form, and so now it's going to give us that bump here, right? And so we're going to have an even longer space before the bicep begins. So what I would like to see on this is right here. I'm going to try to mask, whatever. I'm going to smooth that out. There we go. So I want this bicep to end before I get to my forearm. Okay. And then I want my bicep to dive underneath my shoulder, right? And so we have this going that way, this bicep going that way. We can split it down the center if you want to, but I really wouldn't be concerned with that at this point. I would just be concerned with getting the anatomy sketch somewhat believable and then just moving on. Okay. So, because you're gonna need to take this in steps, right? You're not going to sculpt this perfectly. You don't have enough knowledge to do that, and that's fine. At least you know where you are, and then you can start focusing on what is going to have you understand these forms more and more, and that's just reading, studying, tutorials, YouTube, submitting your work here. You know, all these, you have plenty of avenues to improve your work. I think every artist that handles a stream that is that has some skill offers some type of open critique, and so you want to take advantage of those as you're going along, right? So hopefully you can just watch this later, because I've already explained this over and over again, so I'm just explaining other things that I haven't gone over, so you can hopefully work on those while you're going along. Okay. Brachialis, just gonna go in there, right here, and this shoulder is foobarred. I would have to. I think it's because it's. So you can see your clavicle is broken, right? Your clavicle is gonna be a straight line, right? Especially from the front, it's gonna be straight. So I think what I would want to do here is BML. Get this, fade it, oops, and then bring it out a little bit more, because now we have similar widths, right? You can see how much shorter this one is than that one, and it's okay if we're raising it, you know, that's fine, but we still want to keep relatively the same, because when I lift my shoulder up, it's not shortening, right? It's not becoming shorter just because I raised it. I would have to bring that in. I would have to dislocate it and bring it over there, right? So, all right. So, and then your brachialis is going to come directly over, right? We don't want to hook and then come over. We just want to bring it over. This wrinkle that we have in here is skin, not form. It's a tertiary detail, not a secondary or primary. Okay, so we want to get all that in there, but now we have a rib cage, now we have a lat, and now we have a tricep inserting. So the way this is going to layer is, let's get our scapula in here real quick. All right, so this at the end of the scapula, if we're going to have that here, it's going to go down, it's going to go to the 9th rib. We want all this following it. So it's going to be lat at the bottom, teres major on top, which is going to attach to the end of your clavicle. So if we're going to mark this in, right? So here, the scapula. So at the end of the scapula, this is kind of like the pec for your back. If you don't have this muscle whenever you're sculpting, and you don't understand what this muscle is, this teres major here, then it's like not understanding how to sculpt a pec, right? So now that's that little bump that we see in all these muscle videos, right? Or muscle pictures, that extra bump right there, okay? And that's because your scapula is picking that out, okay? So just like we did, just like I showed you on Arnold, we're gonna have a fossa in here. Even though his arm is raised, we're still going to have an indication of that. And then bringing this across, bringing it across. All right, And smooth that out. Smooth that out. Okay. And so you can see the major difference just by adding one bony landmark and then attaching everything to it, right? So this is going to be your medial epicondyle or your funny bone, and all of your flexors are going to go straight down your palm and go back there, right? Boom, boom. Okay. All of it's going there. And then your brachioradialis is going to insert into the side right here. And then your wrist is a little bit too puffy. You need to bring those out and have it dive down, have a hit for the wrist. And then you want to treat your wrist like a rectangle. Okay. Within reason, right? We don't want it super, super skinny, but we also don't want it very, very thick. Because what this is going to do is going to allow your forearm muscle to be bulky. Because if we have the same size going all the way down, now you're going to have to make your hand big, and now you've got this out of proportion character. All right? All right! Pissing me off, Chad. Pissing me off. Okay. So we will be back next Tuesday. If I didn't get to your piece, don't worry. We will be back next week to go over that. My mentorship is open. It is now open. We just opened it today. So definitely sign up for that. Let me see if Mike sent me a code. Okay. So if you want 45% off my course, use that code when checking out. That's for the on-demand. Are y'all even appreciating this? You can get it on the on-demand, the payment plan, and the one-on-one mentorship. So all three of those, that King of Spice, for 45% off, right? For 45% off at XMD Academy, and that's for my course, not every course, okay? It's just mine, okay? Again, you can go to my art station if you want something a little bit more affordable, which is completely, totally understandable, or if you just want a little taste, you want a little taste of what I can bring you, then go ahead and invest less than $10 into that experience, and you're going to learn something. Every single one of these is 5-star. Every single one is 5-star, 5-star. They all come with an anatomy lecture, medical and real life drawovers, a sculpting lecture, and then a sculpting time lapse of either that piece or another piece that I've been working on. Okay. And then also make sure to keep the dojo doors open. Pick yourself up a nice ZBHO Dojo shirt right there. I suggest the race car red dojo version 1. It's pretty dope. Looks pretty dope. I'm just gonna say it looks pretty dope. And then we got the old styles as well, the OG logo, and then my personal work over here. So definitely go out there, you know, if you've learned something, if you've gotten better because of these streams, definitely consider supporting. Let's see. You're right. I'm gonna buy the hell out of that one. Yeah, I can see messages here, white belt. Let's see. Let me go through the chat. I don't want to leave y'all hanging. Sumerian King likes it extra thick. All right, Crafted Canvas. I'm halfway through Spicer's mentorship. Everyone can't believe the difference. ZGMG is still here. Yeah, we're gonna have to get to you next week. Yeah, Damien, my name is Spicer. They didn't change the name, but you can see at the top, it's Spicer, not Luke. Luke's a much more talented individual that sculpts before me on Tuesdays. The other day, Pixologic made a TUD about making headphones. I want to bring mine to another scene, but the art piece uses live booleans. what's the correct way to move these kind of subtools. I think you can save it as a project, and then you can load tools from project, and I think it should carry it over. I'm not sure. Otherwise, I would just Boolean everything and then take the Boolean results and put it into the other project. Crafter canvas. I can't wait for Venom. Need to work on mine. Venom. Spirit check. Marco, hopefully that was helpful. White Belt Studios. Who dat? Which microphone are you using, Spicer-Man? I'm using Blue Blackbird LX, something like that. It's like a $300 microphone, and it's been pretty awesome so far. I've had it for like 3 years, something like that. Let's see what Paula Math Sensei Spicer is the best. I love your streamings. I always learn a lot. My pleasure, Sheesh. Marco Keo, yeah, I think I've learned that method too. Principal shapes for the details. I have a lot to learn. I only have some months of sculpting, which that is why it's very important for me to have your opinion, Sensei. Awesome. Yeah, we just got to set your foundations as soon as possible. That's what I always, regardless if you're just starting or you've been at it for a while. I've had people in the industry for 10 years take my course. I've had people that have been sculpting for 2 months in my course, and either way, they all improved by the time they left my class. So yeah, it doesn't matter where you are. I can still level you up. How many polygons can ZBrush handle with 8 gigabytes of RAM? Not that much, bro. Probably in the 1 to 2 million, I would say. And that's the total, not per subtool, but the total. Safely be working with that and spinning it around without it slowing down. And if you Control Z to undo something, it's not going to take 5 minutes to undo it. So I would do that. If you need resolution but don't have any more space in your subdivision, then decimate it. And then use Sculptress Pro on it. White Belt Studios, hello. What's going on? Harry Mandibles in the house. Cargo Colt, thank you for a great stream. My pleasure. James O'Shea, no worries. I learned a lot from this session. Awesome. Yeah, we'll get to y'all next week for sure. Thank you, D-Zinc. Sean Darling, what's going on, dude? Piper Petrelli. Hi, Spicer. I'm sorry. I think my English is not very good. I'm in Spain and love your work. Always have a question. I watch people whose works with a big brush, but in the moment to put it in the mesh is smaller. How do you do that? I'm not understanding you. Watch people whose works with a big brush, but in the moment to put it in the mesh. I'm not understanding. Can anyone decipher that by Piper? White Belt Studios in YouTube or Twitch? Both. We're live right now. Would love to do the scores, but for now, I'll check out your art station. Thank you very much, Sean. I do appreciate it. How can I get a cool Twitch setup like you, bro? Let's see. I have the mic. I have the arm. I have a Yamaha MG10XU as my soundboard that's hooked up through a USB into my computer, and then I have a XLR mic so I can get the highest fidelity, and then I have studio headphones that are plugged directly into my soundboard. Wands, what's going on? The brush is big, but the effect is small underneath the mesh. Oh, okay. That is a couple things. One, it could be a brush. Like I have this big brush, but it's making a small line. And that's because of Damien's standard. It's just that brush. The other reason is because your focal shift is really, really small. So if I put it down really small and use a standard brush, let's bring this focal shift really small, then it's only going to affect that small area where that inner circle is. So hopefully that's what you're asking. Hopefully I'm answering that correctly. But that's how you can get a big brush and a small area of effect. Okay. Alrighty. So I appreciate everybody. We will be back next week with critiques and the like. Thank you, Derek, for being here. Thanks for being in the dojo and engaging with everybody in the community. I really do appreciate it. And good job on your last piece. And Craft and Canvas just got a race car red dojo V1. Got me a shirt. Thank you very much, sister. Thank you very much. Yeah. So before we go, you know what we gotta do. We have to give thanks and praise to the Lord and God of sculptural anatomy in the Scott Eaton Templar. Thank you very much for being here on the stream. If this is your first time watching the stream, you just got your ass kicked and you liked it. And you're going to be back next week for more. That's what's so sick about you. But I like it. I like it. All right. So make sure to be back here next week, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, for an ass-kicking anatomy session that you have never, ever experienced on the internet ever before. You're never going to see it anywhere else. You're not. You're not going to see it anywhere else. Not as clearly described and instructed as I'm going to give it to you. Okay? It's going to be here every week. So make sure you share the stream. Make sure you tell other people, hey, Spicer's going to kick your ass. Just go ahead and send him your ZTL and see what happens. He's going to kick your ass. And that's what's going to happen. That's what I'm going to do. So you better be back here, okay? We have over 128 trillion people watching the stream right now. But in the end, as we look into each other's eyes, we all realize we are one.